Dave here. How are you? I'm guessing the stream's running because people have said that they would check for me. So I don't know. Oh, good. Excellent. Excellent. There we go. How are you? Today is the 2nd of May. Mother's Day in another week, I think, in Australia. I don't know what it's like around the rest of the world, but you'd think that Mother's Day would be consistent, but not Father's Day. I don't understand that one. I need to just push this little button there, and away that goes. So if you're on Facebook, you'll also get a second post from me. All right, today on this show, we're going to have a look at baseboard or skirting board joints, and also sharpening this plain blade that Derek Lark sent up to me. This is for the little 220, and you notice at the top, it needs a bit of work. This is the underside, and this is the bevel side. That's what we'll call it, because that's what it is. All right, Mark, how are you? Good morning, David. Good morning, Eric. Good morning, Dave. Good morning, Matthew, Carl, Peter, Terence. I feel like that woman in Romper Room, and I see you too. Where am I up to? Yes, and also we're going to have a look at how the Lutyens bench is looking out in the garden, and a couple of viewers' projects. We've got a pretty good show. Not sure what happened to Cole halfway through his show, but comms died. My heart goes out to him. That's a horrible thing when that happens, because if you start panicking, things don't go right, and you'll end up stuffing it up, and then hopefully he'll be back all good next week. I'm going to give you a sneak look at how the Lutyens bench is looking in the garden. I did tell you it's autumn here, and I planted about 40 years ago, I planted a whole lot of deciduous trees specifically to look really nice in the garden. It's one of those things I try to make things nice. So here you go, have a look at this. That's it's very smoky this morning because they're doing hazard reductions. I have a little bit of video a little bit later on that I'll show you. But there's the Lutyens bench, and behind that is the swing set that I made, and the video and all that is there for you to look at if you want to. The fountain in the foreground, which also, you know, we did the video on that. Vicky and I built that 4 years ago now. And on the right-hand side is Arthur's bench. So it's very, very rewarding when you, hold on, this one here, don't click that wrong. It's very, very rewarding when you make something, you spend a lot of time and effort, and it turns out really nice. Okay, morning Rod, morning Woodwork and Whiskers, and I'm hoping you're all watching Woodwork and Whiskers Monday meetups. You can check those out on Instagram. Morning Don as well, looks beautiful, love the setting. It is, it's just magic, I love it. Vicky and I spent a lot of time. It's how life works, basically, is that garden. And the houses. Right. Let's get stuck in and do these miters. Now, there's some interesting things I've got here. You can do this using a miter saw. You can do this using a hand saw and a miter box. You can do it using the Stanton bench. And of course, the way that I'm going to show you is using the Stanton bench. So, what I have here is, and I might go to the overhead camera for this, to go to CarlCam, just to show you quickly how this works. Morning, Bernie. Where are we? CarlCam and chat. There we go. I'll just move Carl's label over there a little bit. There we go. Because I want you to see the dogs here. Now, on my bench, I have these two dogs that are designed so when I'm doing a crosscut, the blade is actually cutting 2 or 3 millimeters off to the side, and it's maximizing the space between the support of these dog holes. So normally I would have that one there, that one there, a piece of timber up against there, and the track would go in like so. And I'd have my Stanton dog locks back there like that. And these, they're great. Look, that's not going anywhere. I love it. I have one little piece at the back here to support, so when I put the weight of the saw here, it's not going to hurt it. Now during the week, when I did this coping, because I had to do all this coping and put some new skirting boards in when we replaced the carpet that was all water damaged. Insurance company paid for that, thank you very much. We replaced it with a floating floor, and I had to cut new skirting boards in. And what happened was I used the bench because I took it up to the house and started cutting away, and then I dug a dirty big cut right through here. So that made me think, how about, rather than just chopping my bench up, and we'll go to the Carl cam again, you can see just here, there's a cut. So I move this from there to there, and this one from there to there. And now, when I set the saw over at 45 degrees, because it pivots at the bottom of the splinter guard, so instead of being there, it tips over like this, and did that. So now, moving the guide out further, or the guide rail out further, the saw isn't going to hit it. Okay, so that's all lovely, lovely information. So, as I say, this is. Let me think for a second. I try and give you the benefit of my mistakes. There you go. See, you're using the UJK part, my long yellow box dogs failed after 2 days' work. Still waiting for the replacement. Dave, Vancouver, Ian, you're watching as well. That's great. Photo's just fantastic. Congratulations on your hard work. All right. Well, you need to send an email again to John. You know that John is has had both his kidneys removed, and it's taking him a little while to get back on the game. He's also dealing with other things in his life, and that is when he had the polycystic kidney disease, which I don't know if you still have it after the kidneys have been removed. He was on opiate medications to deal with the pain because it's unbelievably painful. And now he's going through those withdrawals from being taken off those drugs and put on other drugs. So give him a bit of space. A week or two, and you should be firing on all cylinders again. I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm just letting you know the situation. All right. Carrying on. Now, why do I want to go 45 degree? I want to create this. Now, when we're doing an internal mitre on skirting boards, or an internal joint, I should say, we can't mitre. If you mitre a joint on the internals, these things over time will shrink, and the mitre, instead of being nice and tight, will open up. And so it's going to look horrible. You look straight down on inside the joint. The paint will all crack and it'll be absolutely terrible. Morning, fix it. Morning. Yep. Well, you need to remind him of that. This is not a situation where we're giving anyone a hard time. This show, Kiwi 007, is about what I'm doing here. Exactly right. Exactly right. I don't normally pull anyone up on this kind of thing, but put yourself in his situation. There we go. I'm not going to say any more about it. Right. Now, the thing with doing this is we're going to cut one board at the end. Is not going to have any mitres on it at all. So when you're walking into a room, let's say you want to do skirting boards in a room, or baseboards. From the doorway, that's where you're going to see everything. That's your point of view. what you need to do is make sure that you can't see into the joint. So ordinarily when I walk into a room, the furthest wall away from me across the back, I do one full width board. No joints at all on it. So the scribe, or the coped board, which is going to look like this, is going to be pushing against that. So from the doorway, say the doorway's over there, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see that the board is behind it. So I'll do that again like this, like that, like that, like that. So a little bit of mucking around, but that's the joint you're going to see from the door. I'm going to fudge this a little bit. You're not going to see that. I'm pulling the joint back open so you can see what's happening. Right? It's easy. It really is easy, because the thing is, you're not working with two miters. Now, the other thing is, with miters, air-conditioned homes, they're going to suck the moisture out of the air and the timber is going to shrink big time. So the board right across the back, far wall from the doorway, remember that's the point of view as people walk into the room, is going to be full. Down the left-hand side, you'll do a coped joint to the left-hand side from that piece going that direction, and the other end of the board will be just a straight butt, flat, nothing up there. Put it in, push it up, nail it off. Board on the right-hand side, you'll scribe that end, or cope, whatever you want to do, slide it up to it, cut that end, push it in. See what's happening? You're creating a pattern around the room. Then here, we're going to scribe like the wall beside the doorway. We're going to scribe the far end and then butt it against the architrave, the timber that goes around the doorway as you're coming in. It really is super simple. Now, how do we get this shape? We get this shape here. Now, that's coping. If you have one wall that's, instead of being straight, it's leaning over for whatever reason. Maybe the person who did the rendering in a brick home, or maybe the skirting, the plaster has been filled or something and you've had a little problem. You can still do that by adjusting this cope here. Now, let's get started. You can do this with a drop saw, miter saw, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to do it with my track saw. Now, I need to have a 45-degree this way on the face. I'm going to get a pencil so I don't get myself caught up with all of it, because that could be ugly. So I'm just going to put a mark there, down the back, and then there. So basically what I'm going to get is that, and on the back there, like that. Now, setting it up like that actually helps me to cut my 45. So I'm going to put that there. I'm going to put a taller dog here. When I grab one, let me see if I've got another half dog, a super dog. Yep, there's one. It's a monster, but anyway, we'll put that in. This is one of their tall ones. You've seen these? They're massive. So I'm going to put that one down here, tighten him up, and we'll go to this side camera. Michael, hi Vicky in the background. Is Vicky there as well? Well, there you go. Yeah, well, it's not really miters, Ian. These are the coped joints. So one's a flat and the other one, as I say, is shaped, and it covers the board. And from the front, it'll look like a miter, but it won't, if it shrinks at all, you're not going to see the open joint in the room. you might see just the tiniest shadow, but you're only going to get half the shrinkage. Think about that for a second. So we got one board that hasn't been cut at all, and the other one coming up to it. Now, this board is going to shrink this direction back to the wall. That board is going to shrink that direction back to the wall. So it's not the two of them going away together. If it was a mitre, they'd both open up. But because this board is going to pull away and the other one's going to pull that direction, it's only half the shrinkage going to show. So there's another thing. Have I confused everyone enough? So now I can put that in there. And we're going to go to the other camera very soon, but I'll also show you something else in the meantime. It's a little bit hodgepodge today, but not to worry. Get the saw out. When I was doing this work up at the house, I was using the dust collection bag. Now this is absolutely full. And when I went to one of the training sessions at Festival down at Melbourne, they showed us this thing and then they said, now how you clean it out is there's a zipper at the back, you can just tip it out, or, heads up, you can use your dust extractor to empty it. And I was thinking to myself at the time, why would I use this if I've got that thing with me? But the thing is, you can use this on site, then when you get back and it's full, you just plug it into the dust extractor. And it's pretty clever. So at the moment, that is absolute chockers. That is full, like you can see inside there, there's plenty of dust. So you just push this in and it's exactly the right fitting. Did you know that? So here we go. I'm going to turn it on. Okay, an external corner is mitred because as it shrinks, not proud of you, as an external corner shrinks, it's pulling the joint tight. It's only the external corners pull it tight. The internal corners open up, not the externals. All right, so we've got that nice and clean. No dust. There you go. That was just a little thing. That's an extra. How are we doing for time? 20 past. Haven't cut one board yet. All right. So now I've got everything ready here. I'm going to switch the cameras over to this little guy on the side here. Camera 3 in a second. All right, there's my board that I want to cut. And the other piece, I'm going to use up the back here as a support. You can see all that pretty well there, can't you? Yeah, there we go. So this is going to support the back of the track. I'm going to slide this in and you can see that this end is too far away. I'm going to move that around, put my tummy against the end and tighten that up. I love this. I love these things. That's how easy it is. Slide it back in and back down again. All right. I'm going to cut a 45-degree there. Not saying you have to do it this way. It's just, it is so easy. And if you have a Stanton bench and a track saw, you can do it. Plug that in. Release the two clamps and slide it over to 45 degrees. Tighten the clamps back up again. All right, now it's just a matter of cut it. You ready? Done. There's our 45. Now I'm going to show you some other little tricks. I need to cut straight there, and then I need to follow all of this shape here. Now it's easy to follow that shape there with a coping saw from underneath. You hold onto a coping saw, and you don't know what a coping saw is. This little guy here is a coping saw. You would have had these at school. So I can cut this. I don't have to follow here, but I do need, I'll use a pencil to show you exactly where I've got to go. This line here I've got to follow, and I have to follow around that shape and then back to there. This part here I'm going to cut. I would like to use a tenon saw for this. I don't have a tenon saw. I do have a Japanese pull saw, and it's a fine blade, so I'll work with that. Now the other thing is, holding the coping saw straight up and down is fine, but I like to tip it back a little bit as I'm going around. The reason being, it's going to create a little bit of a back cut. So when this pushes up against the same profile, this is called colonial, a colonial profile. When I push it up against the profile, if I've stuffed the cut up a little bit, the fibers are going to release, or collapse a little bit and help me close the joint up. Now this has got quite a thick coat of paint on it as well. I didn't even realize that. So let's start with this. Now I'm going to use my thumbnail. Forgive my filthy nails because I was gardening all day yesterday with the dog. So I'm going to just ever so slowly do a start. Okay, this one's got to be pretty straight, like that. And that's what we're going to see. That little bit of cut, that's going to be the top that we see. Now I need to now go backwards. I should have the blade around the other direction. I'm going to come down below here to do it. I'm going to stop there. See what we've got? Just here. Now I've got to come in, and I'm going to come in. I'll show you with the pencil. I'm going to come in like that, and then I'm going to do a cut from here like that. It'll come out the end. I could just come straight in here, but we'll see what happens. Okay. Now I'm actually going to do something slightly different. I'm going to put that there. So I've got something to push against. And I may even do this pushing that direction. You watch. Bring that around a little further, and this one over here as well. Support is always good to have. There we go. I might even just, here we go. Like so. And then coming back up. Straight out, like so. And then coming back in this direction. Again, I'm supporting with my nail, and I'm not in front of the blade. I'm supporting at the back of the blade. So I'm not cutting myself. Like that. And you can see what I've got so far. Now the next thing we do is just cut this. There's going to be people out there that know how to do this, and they're going to be thinking that what I'm doing is extremely painful to watch. And I understand that. I'm going to show you another little trick. See this? Pop that in there. Get this. Pop that one there. Put that there like that. And a clamp. See, that's not going anywhere. That makes it easier. All right, let's use a square because we're showing people how to do things. It's probably a good idea. I'm going to do a square line across here. Anything that can help guide you while you're doing these things is a good idea. So that's square with that. I've got that clamp on there because it's just nice and quick. All right. Again, the thumbnail is very important. Basically, I just push the body of the blade up against the side. Here I learned as a boy from my grandfather, now I use a cordless disc grinder, fine grit flat wheel in it, also check the rocker speed coping crown molding. Well, yep. The problem is with a scroll saw, I'm dealing sometimes with skirting boards that are a length of 3 or 4 or 5 meters long. So this is easier to do it by hand. So here we go. A fine blade is a good idea with this. And the reason we don't use a coping saw down here is because a coping saw is designed to do curly stuff. So if we're using a blade like this, it's going to ensure that I get a nice straight cut. So you need to start as you mean to finish. Otherwise, if you get a nice straight cut, it's going to be bloody useless if it goes over there or back this way. It's got to go straight down. You can do a slight back cut this direction if you want to. But let's finish this. It should pop off in a second. There she goes. So that is the profile that we were after. So we need to have a look. We need to have a look at how it looks in the end. Move those out of the way. All right, there's the board that we want to push up against. Actually, do it that way, might be a bit easier. And let's see how it goes. There we go. So from the doorway, we would turn this around like so. Let's say the camera is where the door is. So you're looking from over here back this direction. Now see, you don't see that open at all. And it is slightly open a little bit because, I'm not the world's best joiner when it comes to doing fit outs, but it doesn't look too bad. What do you reckon? Now, here's the thing. If we'd done it the other way, I'll show you what you'd see. You would see the imperfection. Can you see just here where I'm out a little bit? There we go. Now, back to the other camera. And I think we need to have a look at some viewers projects. Oh, the mouse has decided to stop working. Great. Is it another one of those Aldi batteries? You'd think I'd learn, wouldn't you? No mouse whatsoever. Give me a second. We'll whip that battery out. Put another one in. There we go. Got it back again. I never learn. I never learn. All right, how are we going for time? I hope that makes it, you know, simple, and the reasoning behind why you set a room out like you do. Worked great. All right, who we got first? Let's have a look at Eric Pfeiffer. Now, Eric sent me a little essay in and some photos. Bandwidth not good. Okay, Wayne, not a problem. Okay, so if it helps, it helps. As I said, there's a lot of people that will know how to do this already, and they'll get bored watching me do it. But you've got to be aware, I posted this link for this show on beginners forums as well on Facebook. So I'm trying to show as many people at different levels. We all come in at the base level and we all learn. We're all at different stages. I can't, you know, just focus on one group. I have to go through the whole spectrum. And the CNC will be doing stuff with the CNC a little bit later on as well. Some repairs in an old place at the coast, and then I knew why mitred corners weren't working. Thanks, Derek. New shirt, yes. Well, actually, these are shirts. I bought another 6 of these things around about 2 or 3 years ago, and they were a bit tight. But since I've lost a bit of weight, they're not bad. Been proved on run tests. Well, I'll tell you what, they haven't used the ones that I bought. So, I don't know. Let me see, where are we? What was I going to do next? What was I going to do next? Oh, that's right, Eric Pfeiffer. So let's come down here. Now, Dave, here's a few pics of recent projects I've completed. Not trying to flood you with info, but haven't had time to send regular updates recently. I missed the last 3 shows live, but caught up during the following days. First pic is a jewelry box. Let's have a look at this. That I made for my wife. I must acknowledge that the concept for this was found on Pinterest. However, unable to secure complete plans, I used what information was available and scaled the missing info as best that I could with the help of a good friend. Let's go for another pic. The result took a while to achieve, and while I'm happy it's done, found ways to improve if I ever did a repeat of this project. The box is made from red cedar and silky oak. The second one is probably the most significant. Let's go here. Not only is it great as a caffeine supply centre, but it's the first melamine joinery project I attempted after watching your craft room work for Vicky. A small project, yet yes, it has, however, given me the confidence to progress through the next 3 projects. Now, this is exactly what I was talking about. It makes such a difference when you're first starting out for someone possibly like me or other people on YouTube to show you the absolute basics on how to do something. All right, now let's go to this one. The next 3 projects, which is a cube style wall mounted shelves for my wife's own craft room. And the next one is the laundry improvement with wall mounted overhead cupboards. He's gone crazy. And then also a cupboard on wheels for my daughter to be used as a cat feeding station. I love it. I look forward to catching the live show a little more regularly in the future. Congratulations on the bench. It looks great, Eric. Cheers, Eric. Well, where are we? Back to here. Thank you very much for sending those in, Eric. How nice is that? A guy that's had a passion to want to do some woodwork and, you know, do things for his girl and for his daughter. That's great. I'm very impressed with how quickly you've come along. That's great. And the fact that your wife has given you free rein to do these things in her craft room, because normally that's their space. You don't like to tread too much on their toes in there. Anyway, it's lovely. And Vicky says jewelry box, very Art Deco. Oh yeah, she'll be saying, David, can I have one of them, please? I don't think so. Starting again, the next thing we're going to have a look at is Alan Flett. Now, Alan sent some pictures in. Remember, a couple of weeks ago, we had a look at his lectern that he built and his dining room table out of red cedar, out of a tree that had to be removed from a school for children with disabilities. And absolutely beautiful. Well, he sent me a photo of the lectern actually in the church, and it really fits in well. You're going to be so impressed. Here we go. Whoop, no, that's the wrong one. It's this one, David. There we go. How nice is that? Absolutely beautiful. So the lectern is on the left-hand side that Alan made. And you got the communion table, I guess, over on the right-hand side. So Alan, that's just beautiful. All right, the next one is Peter. Now, Peter Crowe has just amazed me. Let's come back to here. I was in a hardware store the other day, and this gentleman looked at me. He came over and says, "Your name, Dave?" I said, "Yep." And he said, "Have a look at this." And he showed me something on his phone. And it was his way of just saying thank you to one of the local businesses in Springwood in the Blue Mountains. Now, you remember I threw some photos up from Crowe a while back of these model cars that he made out of timber. Have a look at this. Where are we? This is it. Here we go.
Yeah. Oh my goodness! Look at this! Look at this!
It looks...
But look, it's a Baker's Delight delivery van. What? Oh, Peter. Come on, take him a photo with
Peter.
Smile on his face.
Stop it! That's
It
amazing.
looks so good.
That is amazing.
But hang on. Do you want to hear the big news?
What's the big news?
It's for you.
No.
Yes, it's for you.
Oh, Peter.
Do you know why? The last 18 months for small business have been a bit difficult. You employ 18 to 20 people, right?
29.
Okay, and you've had to cope with all the COVID crap. Sorry, COVID restrictions and regulations. And I thought, and part of your franchisee deal, right, is you give to the community. And so someone needs to give you something to say thank you. Isn't that right?
Thank you. I've got a spot for that. That's going to go in my office.
Yeah, but hang on. The customers need to see it for a little while. Just, no.
Why don't we pop it up the end of the counter?
No. Just to show, right, that there are people in the community that appreciate small business.
Oh, Peter, I don't know what to say. I'm a little bit stuck for words.
I put
at the moment.
extra effort into this one, as you can see. But the best part is, it's a V8 Ford for a Mohr.
Of course it is. I'm stoked. I really don't know what to say, Peter. That's just a lovely gesture.
What do you think of that? Who says community spirit's dead? I think that's fantastic. And it doesn't take much. All we need to do is think outside of what's happening in our own lives and think about what's happening in other people's lives. And show appreciation. And tell people that you appreciate what they're doing. It doesn't hurt. All right, let me have a look. We're going to do the blade sharpening, and then we'll kick on and I'll show you a little bit of video around the Lutyens bench, take you in closer so you can have a little bit more, have a little bit of a closer look. All right, now this blade was very generously given to me by Derek Lark. It fits my Turner 220 little block plane. In there at the moment is a Stanley. This is a little Stanley blade. They look exactly the same, except for the Stanley blade doesn't have, this is the Stanley, doesn't have the nice round on the top. And it also these points here are a little different to there, and this one is down possibly almost past the harder metal. You may see or may not see, this is going to be very hard to show, but just here, you can see that it looks a little bit different from here down to here. There's a line there. You can see it also on the back. Different metal. The front section of the blade is a much higher quality grade of steel than the rest, because this part here doesn't need to be sharpened, because it's never, ever, ever going to see a piece of timber in anger, is it? So this part up the front here is the part we have to work on. I'll move these out of the way, and let's get a couple of things from over here. This is very, very easy to do. All right. I might use the side camera here. Around the other side, as a matter of fact, this side. About there, I think. Let's have a look what that looks like. That's not too bad. All right, I'm going to use the diamond plate on extra coarse, this way up. And I'm going to also use, if I have it here, my steel rule. Now there's other people do this on the web. I'm going to put the steel rule there. I'm going to, on the end there, you can see this really does need a clean up. That's going to be useless for cutting if I can't get it at a kind of a shiny edge on it. This is how they come. So plain blades being held in a body don't need to be dead flat on the back for paring. You can lift them up a little bit when you sharpen them, not a lot, just a little bit, to accentuate all the sharpening right on the end. So let's put a little bit of water with detergent in it. I'll move that out of the way. The bottom of that bottle seems to have moved around a little bit. All right, I'm going to put the ruler there to support it, to hold the blade up. And then I'm going to put that there, and I'm going to do this. Now this is extra coarse. Let's have a look. I'm not up high enough. See that? Thicker rule. The one out of the combination square. Aye, that's looking a little bit better. I can see the dirty water. So I'm using my finger as right the way across the blade there to give it equal pressure. If I was pushing down on one corner, I'd end up with little flat spots everywhere. That's looking a whole lot better. Not going to take long. Famous last words. Making sure that's staying straight. Getting closer all the time. Now I can, obviously the further away from the ruler, the shallower the angle. So I can bring it back to increase the angle, which I will. Okay, we're good there. And we're nearly good there. I'm using finger and thumb now, which is putting pressure on the outside, and that short distance between them should be fine. I'm not going to put more pressure on one side than the other. Nearly there. Look at that. This is also a good way to get rid of your fingerprints. Just joking. Jokes, Joyce. Just a little bit more in the middle. A bit more juice. Now there are machines that you can do this a lot quicker with, but I'm trying to show people that don't have all those resources ways of doing stuff. That's got him. Excellent. Now whilst I'm there, I'm going to flip it over and go the next grade down. This is coarse now instead of extra coarse. And then we'll go to, we have to get that down as good as possible. I'll explain why in a minute. If we don't get it down to very fine, what happens is we'll leave little holes, micro-size holes, but we will end up leaving tiny little holes along the face. And when we sharpen this side, even if this is really like a mirror, it's not going to make any difference if there's the holes from the bottom. We'll end up with a kind of a jagged like a sawtooth, and we want razor, we don't want sawtooth. I haven't been reading any of the comments. Nearly there. You enjoy doing stuff with hand tools. Good. This is super fine. So this is where we're looking at getting the polish. I've done my fair share of brickies labouring when I was a kid. Cool, that's looking pretty good. Now I'm going to go back to the coarse again, or extra coarse, I should say. This says extra coarse that side. And now we're going to put a little bit more water on than I have done before. And this is the part where we don't need the jig. Put the blade there like that, and then we just raise it up until the water pushes away at the front. You can see just there was where it happened. I'm going to do a figure 8. Holding it straight. I've got pretty much all across. There's a little spot on the corner that needs work, but I'm not going to do that at the moment. Flip her over to the coarse side, so we're just going down through the grits again. Again, very important. We put enough juice on there for the water to just push away when we raise the blade. There we go. And you can feel it as well. And then you just lock yourself into a position where you know you see how I'm holding it there? this is kind of a fail-safe. If I drop down too low, I know that my knuckles are going to be hitting the stone. It's one of those little things. That's it. That's where it's got to be. I'm going to move the camera in a second so you can see one of the other little things that I'm doing. See it coming up? We'll go to the other camera. So that was the coarse and the extra coarse. And I'm going to go to the fine and the super fine. So we're going, or extra fine. So I'm going to fine to start. And the reason I've moved to this camera is you can watch my body. Again, we're going to tip it up until the water pushes away. And you'll notice just watch how everything is moving basically from my waist as well as, I'm not doing this at all with my hands. I'm trying to keep it dead straight. And it's a muscle memory thing. See that? Getting there. I'm going to take the burr off a little bit at the back. Starting to get sharp there. A little bit more on the other side. A little bit of unequal pressure. Nearly time. Now we're going to do something in a second called the micro bevel. Now this is what's called stropping. It's a hand strop. Now don't do this well. That's an interesting project, Matthew. Don't do sorry, I was just going to say don't do this if you're not comfortable doing it. I did this as an apprentice and it took forever to learn how to do it. Flip her over to the super fine or extra fine, whatever you want to call it. We're nearly at time, but that doesn't matter. I'll give it a quick strop on the leather strop as well, this way around. Now you raise it up just a little bit more to do what's called the micro bevel. It's about 2 degrees higher than the standard bevel you've been doing, which it can be, 25, 30 degrees, but we need to just pick it up just a touch, like that. Done. Now that's pretty sharp. I'll show you how it's looking. Right on the edge. And you can see at the top, we've just taken the edge on. All right, I'm going to get the strop. Not get stroppy, just get the strop. And a bit of luge. Move that over there. These guys out of the way. And go to Carl cam again, I think. All right. My bench has these anti-slip strips. They don't go anywhere. Rouge, I should say, not luge. Luge is the thing you go down a hill, a toboggan. So it's just this is called rouge. It's a polish. Okay, we're going to get the back looking really nice, and I'm going to pull it back just ever so slightly elevated. And now the other side. See the colour it's coming up? I'm going to flip it over. I don't use any rouge on this side. This is a finer grade leather. If you don't have this leather stuff, you can use a piece of MDF. But the rouge is very important. That's what it's actually cutting. On the back, right at the edge end is what we were after, being sharp. Don't know if you can see it there or not. Anyway, let's go to the main camera. We'll get a piece of paper, do a test on if it's going to cut or not. Okay, here we go. That looks pretty good to me. And the other side. There we go. Works. It works. Shall we put it in the blade, in the plane? Plane. These always are a bevel up in these little guys. Put the cap on, the lever cap. I picked the wrong blade up. I'm an idiot. Oh dear. We shall rouge this one. I picked up the Stanley, which is still a good blade. That's the one that I had in there. Ah. That's better. Why didn't anyone tell me? Dave, you got the wrong blade. You got the Stanley. Oh, this looks better even still. I love it. Now I've got two sharp blades. And flip her over. Oh, that looks so much better than the Stanley. Look at this. And then the back. See the mirror look? Okay. Plate in. Lever cap. And that needs to be tightened up because it's a slightly thinner blade than the Stanley. I don't know if anyone was aware of that. Back it up. We'll see if it actually cuts wood. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. Let's have a look. Works beautifully. All right, let's have a look at a close-up, and then we'll close the show, and we'll have the patrons meeting this afternoon, which will be in around about 2 minutes time from now. Let's have a quick look at this. Where are we? You ready? This is really nice. I did it with the camera on the phone this morning, so you know the quality's not so good, but it'll give you the idea. And remember, there's a lot of smoke around. Here we go. There you go. How nice is that? Let's have a quick read. Yeah, I've just left the job 10 years, too much. Never had time to simply sharpen my chisels. There we go. All right, thanks for watching, everyone. And remember, patrons, we'll do the live patron chat for half an hour. Yes, baby. It's looking magic down there. And I've got the cushion, remember, that I'll sit on top of that as well. There we go, close show video. Look after yourselves, be nice to each other, and I shall see you next week.